Our sponsors for this episode are: is your AC or heating system just not keeping up? Maybe it's not keeping your home or business as cold or hot as it once did. It could also be that all you're looking for is a reliable, trustworthy, and affordable technician to check on your system and do whatever maintenance necessary to ensure it's working as efficiently and effectively as possible. If so, give Air Quality Control a call at 316-285-3304. That's Air Quality Control, 316-285-3304 for all your air quality control needs. Hall's Tree Service. Locally owned and operated, Hall's Tree Service has been exceeding and surpassing customer demands in Newton and the surrounding area for over 40 years. Larry and his crew are guaranteed to work hard for you. There's no tree too tall, no job too small. Call Hall's at 316-772-1919. Remember, there's no tree too tall, no job too small. Call Hall's at 316-772-1919. MTO Commercial and Residential Cleaning Services. MTO has been, still is, and will always be a locally owned and operated company. Paula started MTO in 1994 and has been serving Harvey County residents ever since. If you're looking for a one-time clean or a weekly, bi-weekly, or a monthly spruce-up, no need to worry. MTO gives free estimates. Give Paula a call at 316-288-9141. That's 316-288-9141. Well, hello, everybody, and hello, Andy and Chad. How was your guys' week this week?
Fan-freaking-tastic. It's going fast.
Fabulous and fantastic.
Yeah. We're going to miss an event back home. Today is Wednesday. I don't know when you're going to air this, but we got a family event in San Antonio, and I was trying to push to get done so I can leave tomorrow, but it's just not going to happen. We've got too much going on. Installs and details and clients that need serviced, and some signs went down I didn't expect to go down. I got to get them back up in short order because people count on that. So gotta handle the Newton market. That's my job, and that's what I'm going to do.
Sometimes business just is business.
It is.
There's nothing you can do about it.
But great problems to have.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Bring it on.
Yeah, absolutely. Chad?
Right now, I'm just looking forward to Easter. You know, the whole Jesus is risen time.
I love it.
And this year, I'm going to get a very special privilege in that my family is not going to be celebrating at home. We're going to be celebrating with the founders of Camp David. So
wow.
I am super stoked.
How cool is that?
Yeah, I am so stoked.
You sound really right-wing with the Jesus-loving stuff, dude. Did you see his face? He was about to jump across the table at me. I had to do it.
Yeah, we're gonna throw all kinds of jackets on Chad here.
I'm not, you know.
Let me label you and put you in a box.
I am a follower of God and follower of Jesus, and that's the end of the labels right there.
I love it.
And I tell you, now that you said that, our social media is just gonna crash. From
yeah, our YouTube channel will tank, but it's all good. Yeah, we got each other.
Yeah. I love it. Okay, well, normally I send Chad and Andy just kind of maybe a few topical items that we can talk about, and I'm always putting it in the local news and then upcoming events, but I think I'm gonna switch that around. Just real quick, let me blip through some stuff. Some upcoming events. Open Streets is on its way. If you listen to last week's episode, then you'll know what date and time. But Open Streets is the next event out of these that's coming up. Then Cruise Night is happening on May 2nd. At the same time, the Lions Club fundraiser takes place where you can donate food that goes to benefit Save Hope. From there, you have the car show that's on the 3rd, which is a great thing. Get out there. A lot of people put a lot of work, time, and effort into that. But you can also grab some pancakes and sausage from the Newton Freemason Lodge there at the corner of Broadway in Maine. And this year it's by donation, so it's just really a way that the lodge can raise money in order to give back to scholarships and other things. We've got some things that you'll be hearing about soon that we're going to do in partnership with the school district. It's kind of fun. And then there's the Barbecue on the Bricks fundraiser that takes place for the benefit of New Hope Shelter, same day. So
New Jerusalem
Oh,
Mission.
sorry, my bad.
it's
Man,
okay.
I thought I had that. Gosh, dang it.
It's okay.
Okay, New Jerusalem, my bad. I had New Hope on my mind because I think that they have a different executive director that I'm going to reach out to see if they can't come out on the program, but I apologize for that. And then, of course, Sand Creek Summer Days will be coming up really soon in June, so you'll hear more about that and the things that they have going on. If you didn't get a chance, make sure and go to HCTalk. You can look up the most recent interview that was given with Greg Hansen, who's the founder of the Sand Creek Summer Days Festival. He talks about some of the things they're doing. So that was a good interview. Greg's a great guy, really serves the community in many ways, and it promotes the Sand Creek Summer Days Festival. Plus, we'll probably have some other things that we'll do with them as well. Then from there, Newton Rebels season's coming soon. It's very important that you get out there and you support your local programs, especially the Newton Rebels. I know that they've put out a post on their social media that says that they're seeking host families. So that's very important to make sure that we as a community come together. If you're able, to put one of these youth up in order for them to play baseball and support the Newton community in Harvey County, it's a wonderful thing to do. Just if you've done it in the past, haven't heard really any negatives about people doing that. I think it's pretty much pro-positive. So if you haven't done it yet, consider that. Contact Newton Rebels, Kevin Pouch there, and then see if you'd like to do something like that. And then from there, I would like to hand it over to Chad to talk about anything that maybe I missed that I didn't mention there, and what's happening with the local news.
Anything you missed?
I'm sure there's so much going on. I missed.
But there's nothing to do here.
Yeah, there's nothing. Well, I could talk about the closure that I saw about the new city commission.
Apple Blossom Festival is coming up.
Apple Blossom Heston, right?
Apple bottom jeans and the boots with the squirrels.
Sure. That's over at Newton Presbyterian Manor, and also coming to Newton Presbyterian Manor.
Oh, okay.
I think on May 1st, because they changed the date on me. And then I think they changed it to May 1st. There's going to be a Reader's Theater over there that's sounding pretty cool.
Cool.
So, yeah. Cool. So there's a couple things,
yeah.
And I've been out there trying to cover the news, but, interest of full disclosure, my brain is kind of scrambled today because I'm recovering from a traffic accident yesterday. It was a minor accident, but you got to sift through and sort through and get everything dealt with, and this last week and a half's been kind of a whirlwind. So yeah, as I've tried to write the news.
Well, you got the Apple Blossom Festival right here. I'm trying to send people over to Heston to do the Apple Blossom Festival, but it's at Presbyterian Manor.
It's at Presbyterian Manor.
Okay.
Yeah. And I want to also do a sort of a full circle moment for you. Okay, so a New Hope Shelter and New Jerusalem Mission do have a link, but you got to go back a long ways in time, relatively speaking, to
a couple weeks.
Let's go
the
back.
Way my life runs is like years, months, week. Okay.
Let's go back more than a decade. What we now call New Hope Shelter was actually founded by New Jerusalem Mission.
Okay.
And they opened a homeless shelter at New Jerusalem Mission in what was. Boy, we're going to get deep history. In what was the emergency room of the old Axtell Hospital when it operated as a hospital.
Okay.
And they operated out of there for a few years, and then they moved. The roof blew off, and some weird stuff went on, and then they moved over to Ember Hope, also known as Youthville, and they were there for a while until they were able to fundraise and build their current facility over on Meridian. And that's during that time they renamed themselves. They had operated under the name Harvey County Homeless Shelter.
Okay.
They became New Hope. New Jerusalem has not gone anywhere. They're still in the old Axtell Hospital over on Broadway, and they're still doing mission literally all over the world. So
yeah, and I would say, from my understanding, and I might be wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong, but New Jerusalem is more of a homeless shelter style. I think you can come there, you can be there. There's not necessarily any requirements or steps you have to take or anything, and just if you're in need of a place, a shelter, a roof over your head, wherever you're at in your life, for the most part, they will take you in. New Hope transitioned over to what, not to double take on the transition word, but what I would say is more of a transitional housing facility, because when you go in there, there's only a certain amount of time that you're allowed to be
Correct.
there. And then they also have requirements that you make over, and it's all for the good, right? It's they help you get up on your feet. They'll help you get a job, but there's a requirement that you try to go get a job. From there, then there's a requirement that you do some other things as well through programming and things that they have. And so it's more of you come in homeless, but their end goal from so many days from the entrance there is to ultimately have you not homeless, living in your own place at that time. Am I wrong?
You're about halfway home on
Okay.
it. So New Jerusalem Mission was founded as an AIDS mission.
Okay.
And when they were founded, they had sort of this vision of turning the old Axtell Hospital into a place for recovery for those persons who were suffering from AIDS. And they had also established some youth camps for children who have lost their parents to AIDS in Durban, South Africa. Okay?
That's a reach.
That is a reach. And founder Penny Dugan spends several weeks a year in South Africa still. Those have not, that has not changed. Basically the AIDS mission never really kind of got off the ground here. So what's going on over in their building now? Some transitional housing for men. They've also established a couple, at least 2, I think 3 now, sober living homes for women and those women's children. That's the 2 main efforts that they have going on locally right now.
Well, that sounds like an interesting interview. Maybe I gotta get with Chad and get.
Let me call Penny.
Okay, yeah.
Let me call Penny. I haven't talked. Penny Dugan, who's the founder of NJM, was one of the 2 officiants of my wedding. So let me give her a call. Let's see what I can do.
Definitely. One more thing I want to mention that I forgot to write it down here, but April 17th at from 6:30 to 7:30 at the Newton Public Library, Sheriff Chad Gay will be holding a town hall discussion. And that is where he comes in, speaks for a while about some of the topics that he'd like to speak. And then there'll be an opportunity for people to ask questions, which I know that he's more than willing to answer if he's got the answer. So just to make sure that there is a lot of stuff going on, like we've mentioned too, for there nothing to be going on, there's a whole lot going on. But Chad, once again, I got to kick it back over to you. What can we expect on some of the local news stuff that's going on, man?
Okay, so tomorrow I've got some stuff going on the Harvey County parks. And the reason that I've got it going on Harvey County parks, back in February, they were talking about how, because we went through that time period where everybody was scared of Doge. And what was the money really going to come here? And the good news is for the county parks, the money is coming. So they're going to be able to do a couple things like stock their lakes and buy a little bit of equipment and operate almost normally.
Okay.
So during that time where nobody seemed to know if the money was actually going to show up, and that would include Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks, they didn't know. And they're the ones that actually administer the funds. We missed out on some things that have been done traditionally. One fish stocking here in April, gone. So they're going to navigate the rest of the summer as best they can.
Speaking of Doge, I have some people, some of my older folk friends, who are just waiting for that check to stop. They're super panicked about it.
Yeah.
They're getting ready to fight tooth and nail for that check when it stops coming.
But it hasn't stopped coming.
And they are super anxious about it. And they are not in a position where they should be anxious about it, because that's a lot of energy because they're older. And I was just listening to them talk, and I kind of know the story. I know what was put out there. I know the fear mongering. Not all of it is, there's going to be some, like we talked about 8 months ago or 6 months ago, there's going to be mistakes, but that's a pretty big one to float out there. And it hadn't stopped yet, but it's going to stop, because there's a bunch of idiots cutting off checks, to people that need things. And anyways, we'll see.
Well, could happen. I mean, there's once again, we're waiting and seeing.
But do you think? Do you really think?
In my personal opinion, no, but I'm sure there could be certain situations or times where that might happen to somebody on a flyer, right? And so then what then happens is the media uses that dishonestly, in my opinion, as a way to say, hey, you could very possibly be the 0.0001256%.
Which matters, but
because that could be me.
Does anybody know anybody here that's happened to yet?
I have
What?
That the
Social
checks have
Security
stopped?
stops?
Yeah.
No.
I don't either.
I haven't.
Interesting. If anybody out there knows, send us a message. I'd be curious to find out.
Well, I'm sure it happened somewhere to somebody at some point in time.
Let's find them.
And that's kind of how the mainstream national media works, right? We've talked about
Both
it.
the
in
right
the
and the
past.
left both do it.
This something that happens in Phoenix, Arizona, and even, I hate to say it, Cake News and KWCH and the rest of them here are Wichita, which of course they're affiliates of a larger organization. But what I see come across my feed a lot is these situations that are taking place, but they don't tell you where. You got to click the link before you realize that this is not happening in my backyard. This is not even happening anywhere close to me, but
it's getting bad.
They got you.
It's getting bad.
It's getting bad. They got you. But we've had this conversation before. Okay, Chad, are you going to have anything in the paper about the city of Newton putting out a request for people to sign up as citizens to be considered for some of these advisory boards?
Probably. I just haven't gotten to that on my list of things to do yet. But, it's not just the city that needs that.
Yeah.
Straight up, it feels like nobody wants to be a part of that anymore. And everybody seems to be hurting for advisory board members. And it's really unfortunate.
That's an interesting culture. I love this advisory board thing. It allows people to become involved and learn and participate. And there's even target areas in here: Main Street, Land Bank, Community Development, Law Enforcement. This is a great starting point for people that want to serve and kind of get their feet wet. And it's different segments, right? So I really love all of this and the potential behind it. I also love the system that they've put together, the ready to run system, where it's giving people foundational information on how the different systems are connected and not connected, right? So we get some education out there, which is powerful. But this is just another step to those great programs that the city's being super intentional about rolling out to get participation. Now, the flip side of this, in my mind, right, there's always other sides of the coin, is when you participate in these types of systems, it's volunteer. And it's usually not your first or second group of people that start that end up powering through and being those people, because it becomes more than people think when they get involved with it. And then if you're like me, you're going to come in with an agenda. And then you figure out that agenda is such a small portion of what you need to be doing in that space. And you can either grow and work through it or realize that you're not needed there with your 10% focus. Not that it's not important. It's just, it's not going to rule the day. Yeah. And when you get in there, you realize that. So it's just interesting to me. And I think that's why we get tired, people that serve and participate, as we all do. You realize when you're in there, some people, frankly, they want to be there for their reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's not that kind of a service.
Yeah.
You got to be there for even the people you don't agree with.
Yeah.
And that's when it really becomes challenging to self, right?
Yeah.
How are you going to steward that?
Well, and if somebody's asking too, I was on the law enforcement advisory panel in the past. It didn't require a whole lot of my time, right? It was like a once a month meeting. Sometimes maybe it would be every couple months or something like that. So it wasn't anything that, was like, oh man, it's just taking up all of my time. It's relative. If you sign up to be on any of these advisory panels, it's not something that's going to monopolize your week, your day, your month. It's just not. It's just a way that citizens who want to be involved in some of these ways or feel like they have something to contribute to this specific topical area, that then they can sign up and work through that process. And really it's kind of interesting. The thing that I liked the most about it was the law enforcement advisory panel was set up. I mean, I'm getting kind of general here, but by the city, because the city wanted a group of people that were citizens to make recommendations to work with law enforcement, which then also works with the city commission. So it was very beneficial to know that the city commission said, hey, we want citizens to be involved in this. And then when those recommendations are made, 9 times out of 10, the city will have a conversation with law enforcement, with this panel, with themselves to take the recommendations that are given. It's almost like
it's being proactive.
It's being proactive. It's like if I'm for lack of a better way to say it, if I'm the boss, and then I hire Andy here, let's say, and delegate the responsibility to him to increase sales, and I say over here, Chad, okay, you need to increase marketing. Well, if I hired you all to do that, and then you come back to me and say, hey, we need to do X, Y, or Z, and I say, oh no, we're not going to do that, then it almost puts this problem, it's less likely for that to take place, right? We're not contracting this out to a different company. These are people established that are in these advisory panels to then be able to work in conjunction with their municipality to achieve and accomplish things that are beneficial for the whole. So you mentioned the ones that there were. So as far as that, just, get on there, reach out to the city of Newton. Like Chad said, I'm sure there's probably some at the county too that come up rather frequently. Maybe some positions that are not filled or are, but if there's anything.
I can, off the top of my head, I know, for example, there's a position for the RSVP advisory board. RSVP just got a $75,000 grant out of Halstead that's been unfilled for months. So... Mm-hmm. It's needed.
Yeah.
And after Monday night, I'm starting to wonder if the Board of Education doesn't need to create its own advisory board dedicated to insurance. But
we should talk about that.
Yeah.
What a bombshell.
Yeah.
What a bombshell for our people, man. That's a whole nother topic. I don't know if you want to get into that.
Well, I mean, we could. I mean, I'm not fully aware of what you all are talking about, but I can only imagine insurance is going up.
Here's the number. So the primary provider that they've been using floated a premium increase of 52%.
Yeah.
So they went back to their brokers, and the best they could find was an increase of 40%. Now that's the overall.
Wow.
So you've got teachers out there who, in a roundabout way, contacted me and were telling me, man, they're talking about $700 a month.
Yep. For
a family plan.
Yeah.
That's not the price. That's the increase to the price.
Increase. Well, and some of these plans don't have some of the benefits like dental and eye.
Yeah.
And when you have young ones, that is so key to your insurance.
Yeah.
Well,
that hurts.
Well, and let's go here, right? Like we are talking about that under a microscope of faculty for the school system, but this is not a new phenomenon. This is happening everywhere.
Yes, it is.
Cars,
you know what?
homes.
Oh my
Yes, it
goodness!
is.
I mean, especially with the health insurance, I've heard across the board there are not. I don't think anybody's left untouched. I'll just say that.
Yeah,
no matter who you work for, whether it's a public entity, a private entity, it's just.
I'll be straight. I'm getting a little weary on the annual pay cut because the salary does not increase, but the health insurance has been going batshit crazy.
And inflation on top of that with everything that we consume.
It is nuts.
Yeah.
It is absolute insanity.
I have a buddy who works an extra job just to cover his health insurance, and he's very responsible with his time, and his wife has a job to such where she can't. They would have to go private, and they can't afford that. And so he's doing what he's doing to pay those premiums, right? For the health insurance that they have. And he can't work anymore. Like he just can't.
So he's stuck.
And so if this goes up on him right now and his family, like it's one of his big worries. He actually called me yesterday, and we had a talk because he heard that, and he's worried about his stuff now. And he was explaining to me, and I'm not disclosing any names or anything, but he was very concerned that his would go up. He's like, I can't squeeze out another dollar. And if you're talking even 15%, when you have a whole extra job just to make sure your family has health insurance, which he's a figure it out kind of person, but that's just a lot to take on.
Well, there comes a breaking point.
Because he literally only has one day a week where he can spend with the family.
When it comes to health insurance, we are broken. This country is broken. And it has been broken for a while.
What do we do?
I don't know what we do.
Wait, you know what? Let's do this. Okay.
I do not know.
This is a topic that we're going to talk about next week on the
Roger
program.
that. Okay.
And this is why I say this, because I want to go back and get some information and research this a little bit more, because I don't have a lot to provide, right? So we just for those that are listening to the program, know that next week we're going to make sure that this is our a topic area that we cover quite a bit. So expect a 15-20 minute section on that. And we'll just kind of move everything out of the way and talk about even how it affects our own personal life. If you have something that you'd like to share with us, knowing that next week we're going to be talking about this, a personal situation or anything, just please reach out. I have people all the time that are messaging me and telling me, hey, have you heard this? Have you seen this? And not everything makes the cut, right? Obviously we can't, but a lot of the things that I talk about are generated by viewers who want us to cover a certain thing. So did you guys, so before we move on from USD 373, graduation is coming up soon.
Yes.
We're going to be having at Athletic Park at Fisher Field. So just like anything that I've talked about on any of the updates with the Carly Stavola, USD 373 Director of Communications, just, even if you ain't got a kiddo, and they might be screaming at me for this right now because I don't know how many seats we got and how many people are going to show up, because you got one kid graduating and you got 3, 5, 7, 10 siblings that might come to watch them walk the stage, quote unquote. But it's okay to get out there as a person who doesn't have a family that's graduating and just support our youth, because that's a monumental thing to walk the stage to accomplish that. That's however many years of dedication, both by parents and students, to get to that point, to accomplish that. So speaking of schools, though, I want to transition over. Did you guys hear about what happened in Sedgwick by chance? You guys didn't? Okay. So it turns out, I believe a week ago or so, there was 2 individuals that tried to gain access.
They walked into the school.
Yeah, so I kind of hit you. I think I was like asking, just throwing a dart. You guys hear about Sedgwick Public Schools? I don't know, Lance. Did I or didn't I? But there was 2 individuals that tried to, and this is a really weird situation, in my opinion, but there's 2 individuals that tried to gain access to the elementary school, and somebody did not give them access. Okay, so they were not trying to come in the front door, go through what security there are, because all schools are different on what they require and what they don't, right? We're fortunate here in Newton that you're going to walk through this door, we're going to buzz you in, and nobody's supposed to be opening the doors anywhere else around, because those are locked for everybody's safety to prevent anything bad happening to our students, because not everybody has the best interest at heart here. Okay?
No.
We just live in this world, right? That's taking us back to Bethel College and their desire to not have police patrol the area. It's like, okay, so you want everybody to know there's not going to be any law enforcement here. You guys are anti-law enforcement. I guess just be open, to whatever might come, right, type of a thing, because they're not only there for the purposes of making sure that no crimes are happening between students, police presence decreases crime, but then also in the event that somebody wants to come and cause harm to you, they're trained, they know the facilities, they are there to hopefully help protect you. But anywho, so then back to Sedgwick here. Sorry, I had a squirrel moment, but going back to Sedgwick, so then these 2 individuals decide, well, we're going to go around to the high school and we're going to see if we can't get somebody to let us in. which in fact did happen, sadly. So then they were on premises in the school. The police showed up, trespassed them off the property. They gave reasons why they were in the school that didn't even pan out. So they were in the school. They said, oh, we're here for this reason. Our bad. Sorry about that. But then it turns out that they were not even associated with the school in order to do what they were saying they wanted to do. So Sedgwick now Public Schools has decided to take action after this has happened. And so they've walked through a couple steps on what they think that they should probably do to increase security. What are you guys' thoughts? Do you think that we dropped the ball as far as communities that say it can't happen here? We have some things that happen, what we would call these mass school shootings, and then all of a sudden everybody tightens security, and then we all get lax.
Well, the AI is gonna pull that real quick. We're gonna really get throttled now, so we might as well get all the way in it. Those two words put together, we're gonna have some knocks at the door.
Yeah, we are.
No, I honestly think there needs to be a concerted investment. And again, we are not broke, but we don't have a bunch of money to throw around at big projects like that. And we just live in a different world than what we grew up in the 70s and 80s, and even the early 90s to the late 90s. It's when it really got weird with the Columbine thing. Yep. And then that just, now you hear this stuff way too much. And sometimes it's gang stuff, but sometimes it's not. People just have mental health issues, and they go in with bad intentions, and they want to make a mark, and they're hurting inside for whatever reason. And that's how they choose to disperse that energy, right? And they're just in turmoil inside. But I really wish we had funds or a concerted effort to figure out how we can protect the school systems better with technology and better door systems. And not because we want to live in fear, but we just want to do the best we can to protect our people. And frankly, locally, I would really love if we had our own law enforcement through the school district. I really wish we had our own team and we could afford that, and just we can't. So we are grateful that the city participates with us, and they provide care and service, and they're amazing. They've got good plans for us, and we've got the best of the best in that way. But it would be nice to have somebody at every school all the time. And it would be nice to have the proper cameras and systems and door locks for the classrooms and all of the things it would take to keep us safe. But also keeping intact, what the fire marshal would need us to do, because you have to have mechanisms for safety purposes, right?
And we all know that the fire marshal is a jerk.
I didn't say it.
He's very into compliance.
He's a great man. And I don't care what you say.
That dude gets his fair share of zingers in on
He throws fastballs too. He'll catch them and pitch them. But at the end of the day, with Harder, there was a time when I had him look at something for me, and it was interesting to see him put on from the friend hat to this is my profession hat. So real quick shout out to Harder. He stepped back and he looked at me and goes, "I love you, dude, but I am not sending my guys in here in a fire because we didn't do this right, or you didn't do something right." And I was like, and it just let me understand the window that he looks at things in. Those are his people. That is his community. Those are his friends, his brothers. They eat together. They sleep. They serve together. They fight for each other. And when you look at it from that perspective of he's not just being a jerk, he's seeing the world from a whole different lens, and he's trained to do that, and he does it really well. So compliance is important. But he would look at, then that helps me understand his job. Going, wow, you're looking at a whole nother angle than I didn't even think about. Because if someone's in that building, Andy's the guy that's going to go in there for you.
Yeah. Whether
he might not make it out or not. He is that guy, and all his friends that do that job, all our firefighters, they're those people. And when he's thinking about that, he's going, man, my job is to run into that fire.
Yeah.
And if there's a kid in there, he's going in. If there's anybody in there, I believe he'd go in. And it's like, I'm not putting my people at that risk. And so that's why these extinguishers, what a topic, right? We want development, we want to do things, but these old buildings aren't built for the safety. And talk about being a matchbox ready to go. because of the age and the infrastructure.
I mean, the way they used to do downtown Main Streets, a lot of people don't. I mean, you got to think about it. There are a lot of places and communities that don't have downtown Main Streets anymore, and it was because at some point in time, one of them got lit and the rest of them went up in flames. And it's hard to manage that, so we've designed things and through technology and education figured out, well, we can do this to mitigate this risk or that risk or the other risk. So it's not all willy-nilly. Right. For people that think, oh, well, I can't believe we got to do this or that or the other. Yeah, it's an inconvenience, but at the same time, it's designed so our whole entire town doesn't burn to the ground, because that's a possibility.
It is a possibility.
We went through it once before.
Yeah. So, okay. So on
August 11th, 1892, we went through something pretty nasty. So the Ragsdale Opera House and a whole bunch of downtown went to the ground.
Yeah. Okay. And was that when the Dillons went up? It wasn't Dillons. What was it?
No, that was in the 1800s.
1800s. There was a. I say a Dillons, but there was a warehouse. Gosh, what do they call? What do they used to call it? Like a. I'm lost for words here. Kind of like a Dollar General is like a Ace Hardware, kind of where you can go and get whatever you need to get from it. Anyway, whatever the case may be. But yeah, you're talking about 1892?
1892.
Is that when the original Freemason Lodge went up in smoke?
I don't know what all went up in smoke for sure, but I know that the Ragsdale Opera House burned to the ground and was never rebuilt. And it took a bunch of downtown with it.
Okay, so it can happen. It can happen. It can happen.
Anything can happen here.
Yeah. That's why we try to mitigate it.
Not to try and drill the fear into anybody, but anything can happen here. And it's why and I'm not going to name drop on this. I don't feel the need. He knows who he is. It's when one of our best officers grabs a kid, sits him in a chair in front of me and says, "My God, I think we're stopping a shooting today." I believe him. And I guess, that's a moment that really kind of made it hit home for me, because he made that comment and he gave me the short report that he had written so that I could start doing my job. And after he left the room, I looked at the kid and I said, "Did you have a list?" And I'm not going to tell you what the answer was. And I said, at that point, I looked at him and I said, "I need to know. I'm having to ask myself a hard question. Can I continue with this? Because you young man are talking about killing my son. Don't think it can't happen here. Because it most definitely can happen. We're very blessed in this community that on the days that it has been the most dangerous, that our law enforcement has stopped it."
Yeah, absolutely. And that gets the question about what do we do going forward? Which leads me into the next thing that I'd like to talk about, because we're talking about kids that are a little bit older here, right? That are struggling, let's say, with mental health, or the possibility of that if it's a student that's attending a school that your child goes to or your local school, and making that decision versus like what's happened in Sedgwick, where who knows if these people had the intention to come in and do harm, then they had access. So they're changing things. This is not a negative on Sedgwick. I think it's like we need to, especially locally, realize, okay, we got to be more aware here. We've got to do something to be more aware, and I got to send a shout out to Wichita State University. Their security there is phenomenal. They have boxes all over the place. Within, like, you can be at one and you can look and you can see another one. That's how close they are. And all you have to do is push a button, and that law enforcement there that they have on site knows exactly where you're at, exactly where the emergency's at, and to go to that. And it doesn't have to be one that's, a violent thing. It can be, hey, somebody just fell over and hit their head, or whatever the case may be. So it'd be cool to see that kind of thinking take hold and we do something before, it's like, okay, going back to this, banning guns and the whole, okay, well, we're not going to go there today. But I would like to point out that the Wichita Police Department, the city of Wichita, have some concerns, right? That's just up the street. It turns out that 3 kids in 3 months were affected by gun violence, and it was because the parents in the home did not have properly secured firearms. So one of the things that the city of Wichita is doing and the police department is doing is, of course, at some point in time, they allotted funding to make sure that if you need a way to lock up your firearm, we will provide you with a free lock. Okay? So just a question to you guys, okay? I understand with gun ownership, right, that the responsibility comes to the person that is the owner of the firearm. And I understand that mistakes happen. So I get that. But the realization of how this is happening with these last 3 kids is not, it's complete negligence. It's just complete negligence.
So if you want to talk responsible gun ownership and you want to talk to parents specifically, let me tell you what that looks like. Because I am a gun owner. And I take that with a lot of responsibility, and I have 3 kids in my house. Okay? All of my guns are locked in a freaking gun safe. And most of them have trigger locks on them too. And there is only one key to that gun safe, and it is on my body at almost all times. Ain't none of my kids gonna get that thing. It's just not gonna happen. And it's that key phrase at the end, right there. My kids are not going to get their hands on it. There's not a way for them to do it. That's what responsible gun ownership looks like for a parent. And that's a pretty high bar. But I think we need to demand it.
So currently, okay, I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure, it was a play on words, but I'm confident that if an individual is negligent in the responsibility of making sure that your child is not easily accessing a firearm to hurt themselves with by mistake, then that could be brought into child endangerment, right? But I'm not sure that there's any laws that say that you as a gun owner must do X, Y, Z to ensure. And I don't think that's necessarily the way that's.
We have lots of suggestions.
Yeah.
We have lots of suggestions. We don't have a lot of law.
Yeah.
There's this pesky thing called the Second Amendment. Okay? Which I take very seriously as well. And we continually allow for debates about the Second Amendment to ignore things like, what does responsible gun ownership for a parent look like? And can and should we regulate it? Because we just get stuck on, yeah, Chad's got the right to bear arms. That's where we're stuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Andy's got the right to bear arms. He's got to be the right to be packing right now.
Completely am.
Yeah.
You know?
But if it's on my person, it's not accessible to anybody else.
Right, you got to take it from me first.
Exactly. I trust Andy, right? But I'm just saying, we are stuck with, he has that right. He has and he can exercise that right. But we're continually ignoring that not everybody's as responsible as Andy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's people packing, and I walk by him every day, and you can name the place. I'll walk by him every day. I don't trust him, and I don't I got a problem. You know? Mm-hmm. I'll just say it, right? So when I make a delivery out to Prairie View and the guy's coming out and sitting in his car and he pulls the pistol out of his belt and sticks it on the front seat of the car. Dude, there's a reason he was at Prairie View.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I got a problem.
Then that okay.
I got a problem.
I've had friends that were in a situation where you have an older gentleman trying to find a reason to pull his pistol on a friend of mine. That's not good. And it's a very hateful human being that was doing that too. To try to get my buddy to pull his pistol, or want my buddy to threaten him, so he had the reason to do it.
Right.
And it was calculated. And those are scary moments when you hear your friends tell you that they're aware that that's what was going on, and to scare them or whatever that is, it's like you're really looking for an opportunity to do that. Like, how sick are you? You know?
Angry.
It's so crazy.
It's angry.
So yeah, there's some issues out
it's
there.
It's definitely angry. You know. Yeah. Okay. So, because we're covering some
heavy
really
today,
good.
Dude. We're getting heavy.
I'm sorry, guys.
Let's lighten it up. We gotta flutter around.
I say light it up, but then I'm going to go into the next side is that the connection is to things that can harm your children. Right. And then my
we
turnover.
can't live in fear though, because this feels like a very fear surrounded. I mean, all those things are real and out there. But most of it doesn't happen, and it does happen, and it's gonna happen. You just got to be prepared. And I tell people all the time, I have a pistol almost at all times, depending on what's going on, especially out in public. And my job is to get my family off the X, and then I cannot not go back and help.
Yeah,
I'm not wired that way, but I got to get my family off the X first, and that's my job. And then there's the other thing, right, where you have people that are willing to help. But when is it not your responsibility once the police show up and think you're part of the problem?
Yeah.
People don't think about these things.
No. Yeah.
And they don't have conversations with their friends that are in law enforcement to say, hey, what does this look like? What is y'all's protocol? What do you need me to do? If you come up and you see me holding a pistol, they don't know me from Adam, most of their guys. And there's gunshots going off, and I'm thinking I'm helping, but I'm actually making more of an issue. Yeah. You got to think about that stuff. You got to know procedures. And there's a lot of people, to your point, Chad, carrying a pistol around that have no freaking clue. And they're John Wayne, and they're like, please give me an opportunity. And the one that bothers me the most is the people who carry it like a cowboy outside their
open carry,
just waiting for something to come up.
I don't know why that just rubs me wrong, man. Hey, do you? I'm like, if I was in a bad way, you're the first one I'm going to shoot.
Yeah. Somebody that wouldn't have access. It's like for instance, I've said this before.
You're going to see the threat. You're going to
I'm going to take them out first, and then I'm going to go to town. It's like, dude, just give yourself a chance.
Where you are in a situation, let's say you're in a grocery store or whatever the case, and we can move on to the next topic here because it is kind of getting dark this time. We're not being super negative here, but if they don't have access to a firearm otherwise, and then you're open carrying it right there as you're reaching up on the top shelf to get your product that you want, leaving it completely open and available to anybody just in a split second, walk behind you and grab it. You have now provided the opportunity for someone who otherwise would have a very difficult time acquiring a firearm in the moment to then acquire one right away. So, yeah, we all got opinions on that. But remember a couple weeks ago I brought up the baby formula thing?
Yep.
Okay, so interestingly enough, and it's probably my algorithms that are doing this to me, so understanding that be the case, turns out that some research was done, and there are brain-harming chemicals that are released from mattresses while children sleep. You guys interested in that?
No.
Not at all?
Not really.
Oh, man, I'm telling you. I got to say this,
it's
okay?
Fear culture is what it is.
We'll move on, okay? Well, and here's my thing, right? And I'm not necessarily saying fear culture in as much as awareness. But this is kind of a difficult situation because, well, just like the formula thing, we're trusting that whoever's packaging that product that I'm going to give to my child, it's going to be something that's not going to cause harm. And when you find out that there's lead and other chemicals in it, you're asking, well, how does this even transpire? How does this take place, right? Well, a study done by, let me get it here, Environmental Science and Technology, well, it was published in the journal Environmental Science and Technology the research was done by Marion Diamond, who is a professor in the Earth Sciences Department at the University of Toronto, said that babies and children's mattresses and bedding emit toxic chemicals and flame retardants associated with development and hormonal disorders. They measured the chemicals in the air of 25 children's bedroom between the ages of 6 and 4 and found worrisome levels of more than 24 different chemicals, flame retardants, and UV filters. And what they found is that as the child sleeps, it increases because of the weight pushing down on the bed.
My fart probably does more than that. Just being honest.
Actually, there's a study out there that says that it helps prevent cancer.
Farting does?
All the plastic I eat with all my food. They put stuff in the microwave.
Killing your kids, right? The silent sleeper, right? Yeah. I don't know. It's like, but then it goes on to say this, and this is, obviously my algorithms that are doing this to me because of things that I've read in the past, probably baby formula, etc. But it's this, you cannot get away from it. And the reason you can't get away from it is because the research showed that it didn't matter what mattress you were trying to buy. They were all fairly manufactured the same way. So your ability to pick one versus the other versus another, if you're picking a mattress, it's like, well, what do you do?
Well, one of my kids refuses to sleep on a mattress. He sleeps on the floor every night. So I guess I just don't have to worry about him.
Then you'll get the next research that says that the carpet fibers and sleeping on the floor are bad for you. I mean, what kind of chemicals are there? Flame retardants are on that?
Here's what I'm gonna say this. I got about every smoke detector I need, and probably some that I don't. I've got carbon dioxide detectors all through my house. I've had my house tested for radon. Folks, I think I'm good. Okay?
Best you can be.
We're actively taking care of we're actively taking care of threats. And at some point I'm just kind of done. I'm not going to run down any more rabbit trails.
Yeah.
Okay? I've checked to see how many kids are listed as missing from Harvey County. Spoiler alert, not very many. And even those that are, people know where they are. And they're safe. So I'm not gonna let the fear machine just start cranking. It's just not gonna happen. Enough's enough.
Well, it's everywhere. Agreed? Do you guys agree?
Yeah,
everywhere?
I'm too busy to worry about that
if
stuff.
If it's a problem for my kids,
it takes me.
Yeah, exactly.
if Andy dies in his sleep because he suffocates himself with a night after taco dinner,
of my pillow, Roger that.
If the pillow's going to kill my kids, isn't it going to kill me too?
Yeah,
slowly. Yeah, I love it.
The whole world has been working at killing me slowly.
You guys. All right, okay.
We've been trying to get it faster lately.
On a light note, have you guys seen the new trend about the AI generated figurines for you?
I have.
Yeah, so,
I think it's fun. Some of them are pretty funny.
The action figures.
I almost pushed on it just to see what it's going to throw out there for me.
Yeah.
I almost did it, but I decided not to.
Yeah.
I opened up a VPN so that I could take a quick look.
Okay.
And folks, to say it was inaccurate.
Did it bring you out in your underwear?
It made me a 6'5", 375-pound female.
Well,
that ain't it.
But anything
what
like that,
right? What are your algorithms doing?
I have
what do you type into your algorithm? What is going on, Chad? That says, this says a lot.
My action figure.
Pink pumps on. With his toes all smashed in.
Well, it's like
it
having
looked
the
like
conversation.
it belonged in the Bethel drag show.
Hey, now my phone's listening to that. Oh God, we're gonna get this. This is just the
How I do it, lighten the mood.
Oh boy.
Well, okay. It's this is the funny thing, right? Well, and like most of these, if you don't like it, you can just change some stuff and go back to the drawing board, right?
Yeah, you just hit submit again,
until
and
it gives you
spins again.
Until it's something that you like, and then you're like, oh yeah, that represents me. By golly, my goodness, my geez.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
I really question the one that I chose. I don't think that it had a very strong AI, and I'm 90% sure it wasn't really checking any of my own profiles or photos or anything.
It's checking what you got in your. I'm wanting to know now. It's like the guy. It's like we've joked about it before, right? You got somebody,
and that was for my work computer.
Oh God, what goes on at work? it's like the person's like, man, I just keep getting all of this stuff in my feed. I just don't understand it, and everybody's looking around like. That's because whatever you're searching on who are you around? What conversations are you having?
True story about that. So, at one time I was the editor of multiple newspapers in this region, and I got a phone call from someone who was madder than a hornet at a board of education, and the reason that they were so upset is that they were trying to move a whole bunch of kids into online education. And when they searched for the website that they were going to use, all the advertising that came up with some really hardcore porn. And they did not understand that. And they came unglued, and they were ripping on everybody they could think of. And that, Chad's sitting here on the phone, and I'm going, I'm taking a few notes, but, I got to be a responsible journalist. I got to ask you a question or two. And I said, the first question I'm going to ask is, what computer did you use to look at this? My computer. Okay, your home computer? Yes. Not your work computer, your home computer. Yes, my home computer. Okay, not to be insulting, but what have you searched for in the last 3 weeks?
Because it's going to generate that way.
Because when you go to the board and you're planning to do it, somebody's going to be asking that question. Because that somebody understands how the algorithms and how internet advertising really works. Because you're upset about an ad. You're not upset about the content of the website. You're upset by the ad,
because the ad's gonna get put in front of you based upon what it is that it thinks you want to view.
And I had a
hey, you know what, you saved that person's life.
I had a little at that time. I had a little help from a reporter in that community, and I said, this is what's going on, and they said, I'm going over to their house. I'm going to go see what it is they're talking about. And they called me and they said, oh my gosh, I really wonder about this person right now. Because they understood too. That's how all that stuff gets delivered. So have fun with your, I don't know what they're calling them, but have fun with your action figure, but understand you're going to start getting shoveled a bunch of stuff now. And it's going to be all based on your search histories.
You're releasing all your data.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, people don't realize
openly
that.
clicking to do it. And there was a facial recognition one that used the facial recognition that was sending their data off, and a lot of people were doing it. And I'm sitting there going, man, they don't even think about it. What that means. And this is like 10 years ago, so it's gotten even worse now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
gotten more
frankly,
sophisticated.
most of the time, at this point, all of us have had our stuff pushed up and pushed out somewhere. So it's almost to the point now. I used to worry about it before, but I'm like, why? It's just...
Well, nothing you can do about it.
No.
That goes back to that fear. I mean, there is no way right now. I mean, you could go and throw the phone away because the phone is bad, right? But if everybody else has a phone around you, my phone is going to recognize... Chad's phone is going to recognize my voice when we're talking to him. Whether I have my own profile or not, it's going to build a profile on
his phone could be off.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I guess realize that everything you say, everything that you search, everything that you do is all right there.
Yeah, it's all there.
The chips are in all of it now.
So straight up, I'm probably going to start getting, let's just say questionable clothing store ads.
Yeah, to see if you bite.
It's coming.
That
I'm
little-
telling
yeah,
you, because
yeah.
not only did I have the action figurine, we've had this conversation, and so everything just got made worse.
Oh yeah, our week is going to be very interesting, especially when I get on the next
Sorry,
level.
guys.
Pumps.
You guys get ready?
Pink pumps.
Okay.
Size 10.
So you know, I got to cover politics.
I wish they were
here.
size 10.
Got to cover politics here. For those that were not aware, the legislative cycle for the state of Kansas is over. There was a lot of laws that got passed. Some were vetoed that then obviously didn't make it. Some others didn't, but there was 3 that just when I was looking popped up and thought that they would be relevant to kind of what we're talking about. One is about pornography. So while we're talking about it, it turns out that Senate Bill 394, which the governor allowed to become law without her signature, is an attempt to prevent children from viewing pornography. The new law requires the use of age verification technology by websites with material that would be deemed harmful for children. It has already resulted in Pornhub announcing that it won't permit access to anyone in Kansas, including adults. I think that's a win.
Man, they took all my favorite websites away from me.
Oh, Chad. Oh, man. Yeah. We were talking about...
Just give them your facial recognition. You should be all right.
Here, we're talking about
right on in.
talking about some porn here.
Just ping off of a Texas server. You'll be fine.
Just black web it, whatever that is. However,
And you know the
Dark
kids know
web.
how to do that.
See, and I don't even know. I don't know. I'm just.
Our
I
kids
don't have the
totally
desire.
know how to do that.
Yeah.
I'm just telling y'all right now. Good, great, sounds good, wonderful.
One more step in the process that they got to take if they want.
They're 5 steps ahead of that move.
Oh yeah, they are.
So
Because they're 5 steps ahead of all of us.
they'll ping off of servers from Pakistan.
Oh, yeah.
They know what to do.
Oh yeah,
Anyways.
Russia works pretty well too.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Well, since we're talking about
If
porn,
you're real desperate, you can use Canada. It's really slow though.
yes.
A lot of buffering and everything.
So
I have nothing. I have nothing to
Chad's
say
brain
here.
gets scrambled. Chad gets tired, and the humor comes out.
It's all about gambling, right, Chad? That's how that comes
shoot.
Okay, so next.
Seriously though, you know how locked down those gambling sites really are? It's nuts.
Are they really putting the cramp on it?
You go across the state line, you can't do anything.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, I learned that on a vacation. I mean, I was gonna bet on the NCAA tournament one year, and I was like, I gotta drive, and we got into Nebraska, and I mean, we were at like Chester, which is just a few miles inside of Nebraska. I'm like, we're taking a break. Great, now I can go bet on Caitlin Clark to go 40.
Bang.
Nope, can't do it. Shut down.
Isn't it interesting how that works? Technology is just to the pinpoint,
It's getting better.
exactly where you're at. The next one that I thought was interesting was microbreweries did get a win. So if we're talking about Bourne, we might as well talk about beer. And Wilcott Brewing Company and Holton and Salt City Brewing Company in Hutchinson were among the supporters for House Bill 2124. That new law allows microbreweries to sell beer and hard cider directly to retailers and other establishments without having to use a distributor, which could mean more local beer on tap in local restaurants and bars, which I think is a wonderful thing. I know they've been trying to fight the distributors, and just slowly, incrementally have been able to have less restriction on their ability to do what they want to do in a free enterprise society. So you might see some of that stuff going on. And last thing that I got before we do final words is the purple alert. You might be hearing about a purple alert that started coming out. I didn't hear anything about this until it passed. Just like silver alerts are used for certain missing seniors, amber alerts are for children abductions. Now there will be purple alerts for missing adult persons who have been diagnosed with an intellectual disability and are in possible certain dangerous circumstances. So if you hear something about a purple alert, it's similar to the silver alerts, it's still similar to an amber alert, etc. They're trying to provide another way for people to get notified that when they're looking for somebody that potentially needs help, they can get it. So, anywho, okay, guys, final words. Andy's going to be like, damn, this was dark. I don't want to dark on that. There's a lot to cover.
That was interesting.
Okay. Sorry, guys. I tried my best. I mean, I went to the whole of the algorithm hell, and there we are.
Man, his algorithms have to be messed up.
It's all politics, Chad. It's all politics. All negative, all politics, all the time.
Final words. Citywide garage sales next weekend. Go out, have some fun, spend some money. Maybe try and make some money. And just enjoy a Saturday. And seriously though, happy Easter. I did a 40-day Bible study for Lent. It ended today. Happy Easter. It's time to party.
Andy?
Be well. Challenge yourself, grow, and try to make your circle of influence better. Every single day, do the best you can, and it's enough.
My final word is, although this week was seeming to be a little bit dark or negative, enjoy your family, enjoy your neighbors, enjoy the weather, enjoy the spring. Easter is here. Remember the reason for the season, if I can say that, and realize that even though we do suffer from all kinds of things that are going on in this world that we just shake our head at and we just can't believe, there's a lot of evil. Always remember that Christ came into this world so that way, in the end, God wins.
Amen.
Have a good week, everybody.